welding an intercooler for a competitor, probably more important than informing us, but great to have you with us. So the Driftkhana, how do they score? What's going on the screen right now?
Well, on the screen you'll see these barrels and wall ride graphics, and you can see Bagsy now making his way around, and you can see those barrels pointed on the edge of the circuit. Those blue lights will be flashing. When they get close to him, within a foot, the light will go green. That means Bagsy will score in that zone. Now this section is timed from the start line to just up before Morecambe. They have to get through here as quick as possible. Now Bagsy going to put on a show, door open, waving to the big crowds here outside the house. He's going to make his way down. There is a freestyle section just a little bit up from there. Will Bagsy do it? Yesterday we see James Deane taking a different approach, going for the time rather than the show element.
Well, Bagsy, as with yesterday, had to open the door so he could see the cockpit absolutely filled with tyre smoke. He drifts past us into Molesome. He is exquisite through there. Right, the other chart we can see at the bottom is the wall ride. Where does he have to do that?
Well, that is just after the finish line, right up the top end of the hill. And what Bagsy will have to do is enter that top part of the paddock. He'll have to get the back end of that GTR as close to the plastic white wall, setting off the proximity sensors. I'm going to take a quick look back at the replay now of Bagsy in action as he made his way around. And you can see that blue flashing light. He has to get a little bit closer. Does he get that one? Oh, he does. He manages to get closer, close enough, sorry, to activate it.
Now, many times commentators like Bruce and I would wish that we could influence the outcome of racing, things that probably shouldn't be that are, and things that aren't that should be. But here, you can actually do that. The judges are the commentators, so the commentators can add points to the scores.
Yeah, we certainly can, yeah. So the more influenced we are by Bagsy's style and his show and how quickly we got through there with that finesse, and the more that the crowds here on Goodwood Hill and in the grandstands applaud, get their camera phones out and film, the more points we will score. So there we go, Bagsy into that wall ride section, makes his way around. Look at the smoke coming out of the side skirt. Now he's into the pylon. He has to do 2 clean passes of a donut around this to illuminate lights all the way up. Once he gets that done, he then has to park this big GTR in a parking spot to get maximum points. Can he get it done? He certainly can.
Well,
very good from
super
Bagsy.
clean. He's filled all his bars. I think he possibly missed 3 points down at the bottom.
Yeah.
What did he gain at the top? What did he get there?
Well, I think we go for a 750 there. There was a few hands in the air applauding him, so that was a nice score. Now, this man, Ben and Keith have been impressed. Yourselves have been impressed with him. He is the machine, James Deane, in the Falcon Tyre E92 BMW Eurofighter. This car, an absolute weapon. And James Deane, a skilled technical driver. Look at this inside the car. Very calm and collected. Slots the car into gear and away he goes.
And when you see James out of the car, you would never guess what he does for a living. A more laid-back person who cannot imagine that lovely, gentle Irish accent. But this is the other version of James Deane, and what a superb shot from low down on the side of the car, flicking one way or the other. Yesterday, he went for speed above all else.
Yeah, he certainly did. He was fastest through this part of the circuit, but we lacked him a little bit at the start points because he didn't really put on a show for us. But he said today, he messaged me straight away after, and he said, tomorrow I'm going to blow the doors, I'm going to win Driftkhana. Look at how calm and collected he is inside the car. He selects another gear, up the hill he comes, absolutely flat. You can see him working the steering wheel on that hydraulic handbrake, getting that car balanced on the edge of the circuit. Past the commentary booth he comes as he enters Morecambe, full throttle, locks the front wheel as he makes his way through and past the grandstand.
That is
James
one of the
Deane.
best shots I've seen in motor racing in all my years. That brave camera person strapped to the side. Incredible.
Sort of do, sort of don't want to sit alongside him. I mean, I can't imagine anything more of an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, James Deane, an absolute talent behind the wheel. And there we go. We go for a look back at the replay, and you can see that camera perfectly positioned shows you that front wheel lock up, and this one from the rear showing you exactly how it looks from the back end of the car.
Well, his precision is absolutely stunning, as any top-flight motorsport competitors has to be, but the angle of attack is just insane. Yeah, he's going with speed, he's going with precision, but boy, is he going with show. Look at that rear wheel. Hydraulic handbrake just tweaked on there to really get the tail end of the car moving. Into the wall ride, all 4 lights come on. And then around the pylon we go. It's in the smoke there somewhere. He knows where it is. The camera has no chance of seeing it.
No, it certainly doesn't. Now James Deane going to flick that car into that parking spot. Perfectly executed once again from James Deane.
Right, his score on barrels was 16. His score on the wall was 4. That was 1 on the barrels up on Bagsy. So he's got his nose just in front. How many points did you hand his way at the top?
750 again.
750. It's by tiny margins in the
tight
Driftkhana.
up the top now.
Now it's the maximum potential score that we can add is 1,500 points. We need to see if anybody is going to pull that out in this final Driftkhana run.
Well, this is Ahmad DAHAM. We just heard from Ian beforehand. This car needed a little bit of welding. You obviously did a very good job. Actually, I shouldn't say that. He's only done 2 corners so far. Not corners of the car, though. Corners of this hill climb course. And what are we seeing here, Ian?
Oh, it looks like he's still got maybe some issues with that car. We wondered if the throttle body was damaged. The backfire from the nitrous so harsh that it actually blew the end tanks clean off the intercooler. And Ahmad DAHAM was saying that there was still an issue maybe with the throttle body. So that could be the end of the weekend for Ahmad DAHAM. Unfortunately, the man who was leading the points yesterday in Driftkhana.
It was very undramatic for him away from the line and into the first corner. You know, he has been absolutely one of the big showmen, and that was clearly from the moment he dumped the clutch away from the line. From the moment he dumped the clutch, you could see that it wasn't quite where we expected him to be. So he's going to bring the car hopefully all the way up to top paddock, but he is really nursing it at the moment, just pottering gently, very off cam, very off boost. And again, maybe that's part of the issue. The intercooler, of course, part of the turbocharger's pressurizing system brings the charge temperature down going into the cylinders to avoid pre-ignition. So maybe he's blown a turbo pipe or something and just hasn't got that boost. In which case, he's got a low compression, 2-litre engine, which really isn't cutting the mustard.
No, certainly not. So Ahmad DAHAM will be slightly disappointed with that. But the guys, I mean, look, hats off to these guys. They had that intercooler out within 5 minutes, over welded and back on the car. So unfortunate end to the weekend for Ahmad DAHAM.
Yeah, and Ahmed was saying to me earlier that this is pretty much the end of his season, because he does the Middle Eastern season starting in, I think, November and works through the winter there. But he will be... well, who knows what he's going to come back with in 2013, because 2023, because all these drivers just look at what they can have and want more. Much more.
a lot more normally, and that applies to Kevin Quinn. Now, Kevin Quinn on the line from Quinn's M Sport in this immaculate Nissan Sylvia S15. He had a car just the same as this, and he said, there are a few things I would like to do differently. So instead of rebuilding that same chassis, he said, I'm going to build a whole new one from the ground up. And they got the invite to Goodwood Festival of Speed, and he said, now's the time, let's get to work. Look at this for Kevin Quinn.
When you're down by the start line grandstand, and it's right beside the family area and all the catering on the cricket pitch, so there are huge numbers of families with small kids there. Boy, oh boy, you can just imagine they've abandoned burger and chips and straight for the noise. And boy, what a show these guys put on right from the start line.
Yeah, they certainly do. And look at this, Kevin Quinn. You can see him dragging that rear diffuser on that back bumper of that Sylvia S15 along the ground as he makes it widely across the track. Now looks for the 3 barrels outside the house, gets it absolutely perfect. Kevin Quinn said the more he drives this car, the more he loves it, and the more he wants to just keep on driving. It takes a little bit of turf up in the air as he waves his hand, looking for a round of applause from the grandstand and the hill.
Signing autographs, taking selfies on the way.
I'm just wondering how much it's going to cost him for clipping the grass verge there. It could be a bill from the Goodwood estate. And again, showboating. This is in the freestyle area.
It certainly is.
Why not do the greatest stunts in front of the greatest number of people in the grandstands? Then suddenly it's serious again, approaching Morecambe.
Yeah, it certainly is. Look at that big opposite flick as he makes his way around Morecambe, full throttle. Absolutely dialed is Kevin Quinn. One arm out the window as he flicks the car left to right over that crest in the middle of the circuit. Now gets down into the area where we let them cool the cars down.
Yeah, just great style right from the beginning. And this is exactly what we expect to see from Ahmad. Real attack in that first right-hand car. I mean, real attack off the line. And even that wasn't there. So this is much more what we expect to see. And Kevin doing about a third of the course so far with one hand out of the window. Oh, I can do this with both hands tied behind my back.
Yeah, these guys are really showmen, and we say that they are. They exploit their showmanship within the car and with the styling. Here we go, Kevin. As you can see, arm out the window. Incredible stuff.
I do notice that when he gets the flint wall, he tucks it back in for that rather more serious and consequential corner, but not that Morecambe's exactly an easy ride. But he's been fantastic all weekend, and I just think it's worth pointing out again, 8 weeks ago, this car did not exist. I mean, that is a phenomenal achievement.
So there
Here
we go.
he comes.
Yeah, Bagsy taking a look on to see how Kevin Quinn fares on the wall ride. All 4 lights illuminated, makes his way into the pylon. Oh, takes a wide swing. Now he needs to tidy this one up a little bit, does Kevin Quinn, and he certainly does. The front bumper, that's Sylvia right on the barrel. Can he keep it clean? Top light almost illuminated, gets it parked. Job done for Kevin Quinn.
Yeah. Good job from Kevin Quinn. And I love so much about this sport that it is real positive encouragement, which competitive motorsport so often sort of is quite hard. This is like skateboard, BMX, inline skating, everybody trying to encourage their rivals to push themselves to further and further sort of excellence, and that's so much a part of this whole scene.
Yeah, it certainly is. And off the line it is Tetsuya Hibino in the Nissan Super Silhouette Sylvia S15, the Liberty Walk kitted car, paying homage to the former touring cars in Japan. Now Hibino running a quad-rotor Mazda engine underneath the bonnet, 1,400 horsepower, draws a huge crowd in the cathedral paddock every time the ignition's switched on. And Hibino into those barrels, very nicely done. We've seen him destroy the body kit over the weekend. He said this one he's going to keep clean, the last run of the day for him, as he makes his way through and up the hill. Full burnout the whole way up now, starts to flick the car left to right, one arm out the window, waving to the crowds and spectators in the grandstand. Hibino all the way up the hill. Incredible stuff into Moulcombe from Hibino.
Backs in beautifully, and again, the showmanship. Oh, hang on a minute. Now, okay, here we go. Now I think he found himself off boost and in the wrong gear. Too much hand out the window there for a moment. Now he's motoring again. Here he comes. Oh, yes, full smoke on.
Oh, wow, clips the straw barrel, on the inside. That big front splitter just taking a little bit of straw up into the air, and we take a look at the back end of this car. Incredible scenes. And everyone's saying how much they love the flames that erupt out the back of this car, the 2 exhausts underneath that diffuser.
It pops, it bangs, and I tell you what, he won't be the first driver of the first car to arrive with straw sticking from the side of that top paddock. It's almost, for some of the greatest drivers, a badge of honour to have the right-hand flank, i.e. the sweep through that final corner to the finish with your wheel rims looking a little bit hairy.
Yeah, so Hibino there, as you can see inside the car, balancing it absolutely perfect. Little jabs on the handbrake. You can see working the handbrake almost like ABS. Just dabbing the handbrake just to slow the rear wheels down, get the car balanced. Doesn't want to slow it down too much. He doesn't want to lose the angle that he's driving on, so he uses it like an ABS system. Very, very clever driving from the Japanese man there. Now he's going to make his way into that area. Lights up, 3, 4, gets them all done. Slows the car down nicely, gets into the barrel. Now that big front splitter could pay a problem for him, and it does once again as he now starts to push it around. Oh, and he knocks it over once again. Hibino struggling with that today, gets the car parked and does it in style.
So perfect apart from the mistakes, I think we're saying that at the top of the hill. So how many points for style at the top?
I think we're going to give him 500 there. He did take the
500,
barrel
I think
down.
that's quite generous. I'd have gone for 250. But
Bruce becoming a very good judge so far this weekend.
We need to get him in some drift battles and see if he can judge who's the best leader, who's the best chaser.
But in terms of the enthusiasm that Tetsuya Hibino has shown, determined almost through the entire course, waving. He's been a master showman, and this could not be further from the Japanese drifting scene.
No, 100%. Yeah, this is completely different to what Hibino's used to. Maybe paying a little bit of a homage to those mountain hills in Japan, but taking him back to the days when he started drifting. But he said so much fun here, and the crowds, he said, are awesome. He said the interaction's been phenomenal.
And I think everybody likes doing something in a different atmosphere with different people, and I'm sure he is really going to take a lot away from being here at Goodwood, and as all these competitors will take it into the next events that they do, and they bring everything that they've learned with them as well. Martin Richards in his Nissan Sylvia, and again, compared to what we've just seen, a very much more almost street car look to it. It almost just has that stanced look, but that doesn't tell the whole story, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. This car is equipped for all the safety equipment that needed for competitive drifting, and it does have 500 horsepower underneath the bonnet. Still uses the factory standard 2-litre 16-valve engine, but just tuned and tweaked. And Martin saying this weekend, unfortunately, the car he wanted to bring not available, so he opted for the Driftworks Nissan Sylvia instead, and showing everybody what you can get into the sport with, the tool you need to get into the sport. Arm out the window for Martin Richards.
And do you know what, when you see a car like this being demonstrated so capably, it feels like it's just more attainable.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Because it sort of looks like something you could almost imagine being able to go forward to buy, or possibly even start to build towards yourself, because it's not so outrageous. Well,
Who left that there?
Bit of scenery. I can't imagine, but we know who's just been up. Bit of scenery in the track.
Driftworks car, drifting works most notably here, and the way that drifting has been welcomed to the Festival of Speed, it's growing, and the Driftkhana has been, you know, the latest tweak. This not just drifting up the hill, there is something to aim for. In the case of Tetsuya Hibino, it was the straw bales at the side of the circuit. But up the top, Martin Richards rides around the wall very smoothly, very cleanly. Will that pylon, or Dalek as I like to consider it, stay upright? That is the closest location. Around one little sneeze from the cockpit might tip it over.
Great score as well, 16 plus 4, so 20 out of 22, and some real precision on the barrel. What are we going with?
750, I do believe they're very nice for Martin Richards. He took his time down the hill to do some freestyle drifting and show off to the crowd. So I really like what Martin Richards did there. We go back to the start line. Here's another Driftworks car, this time the Monster Energy Nissan Skyline R33 of Tessa Whittock.
Right, Tessa's been building up, going faster and faster with each run, getting the tail out further. Let's see what she can do. So that standard acceleration, well, standard in the world of drift world, acceleration from the start line up to the first corner. Effectively, you've got two right-handers, but they make it a right-hander followed by a chicane, followed by another right-hander. Look, there we go, from one side of the track to the other, the tail coming out. What's coming next? The second right-hander. Can Tessa see? The cockpit's looking fairly full with tyre smoke already.
Yeah, Tessa doing a good job so far now. This is the bit she said she struggles with, getting the car balanced into this section outside the house, trying to illuminate all of those barrels. Goes for a different approach to some of the other drivers, and maybe setting herself up nicely to flick the car in a dead straight line down and up the hill. Look at this, arm out the window. Tess gets it done this time. She said she was very nervous coming up the hill. Now really found her confidence once again. She's going to go for a quicker run today, not slowing down to do the freestyle drift. Or is she going to? Yep, she's going to change it up a little bit now, going outside of the commentary booth, showing off to the marshals and the crowds here at Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Well, the tail end there, it has to get the lights going green, has to be within a foot. She was within about of an inch, the barrel closest to our commentary position, very nicely through Molecombe. Now, of course, you can slow it down a bit, still carry the speed, but the next scoring point is at the top of the hill. 6 points, a lot of the rivals have had 8 by the time they've gone through Molecombe.
Well, lots of small boys and small girls of all ages oohing and ahhing there as Tess put on the display right by the crossing. There's an awful lot of people right there, because that is one of the crossing areas, and they're all waiting to go across and see different bits of this event here at Festival of Speed, and Tess putting on a great show for them.
Well, hand out of the window, waving, saluting the crowd as much as anything, and when Tessa gets to the top, she'll like the response to the crowd. That will encourage her to get it right on the wall ride, to get those 2 rotations around the tower with the lights, the pylon if you will, providing they put it back up, that is, and then go into the parking bay. And of course up at the top, the poor camera person has to work so hard to find the car they're trying to film with all that tyre smoke. So she's the last car up the hill in the Driftkhana. What's she going to score at the top?
And in the slow motion, you really get to see how the boot lid has been cut away completely on the car to allow for cooling these cars with rear-mounted radiators. So you've got to get the air in. Here she is round the pylon. Perfect score on the wall ride. She needs to score strongly here.
Oh, she's going for another donut round.
Yeah, well, her first 2 were getting reds rather than greens. Now she's triggering the greens, and suddenly if she can complete this rotation, get the parking right, she might be in the hunt. She's very much in the hunt. She can't stop.
She's just going. She's just going for it. What was that? 4 or 5 rotations and a spot-on piece of parking as well. Great run from Tessa Whittock. She's had a couple of slightly iffy ones and a couple of mechanical problems here as well over the course of the 4 days here. That was one that she will be